Welcome to SI UK India webinar. Thank you for joining us. We are now live with Durham University. Today we have Grant Ingram and Krish Kindra with us. They will be taking us through this webinar session. We'll answer all the questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. So let's start the webinar. Over to you, Grant.
Thank you so much. So welcome everyone to our webinar publicising our MSc in Energy Engineering Management, which is a new and exciting programme at Durham University. So just to introduce myself, we're going to have a welcome and overview, and then we'll get into some details of the course. So just to introduce the people on the call today, we have myself on the left-hand side and also on the screen. My name is Grant Ingram. I'm the Joint Programme Director and a Professor in the Department of Engineering. Also on the screen and in the middle of the slide, we have Krish, who is currently an MSc Management student at Dubs at Durham, and he'll be talking to us a little bit later. And then also we have Savi Agarwal. My apologies if I've got your name wrong there, Savi, who's from our international office, who can advise much more about the process of actually applying. I can talk to you very much about the content of the course and some of the academic reasons why we've put that course in place and why it's a good idea. But these other two colleagues will be able to provide you with much more information about the actual process and experience of being at Durham University. So, outline of the session. So we're going to basically go through a bit of the highlights of the program, some of the highlights of Durham University as well, some of the reasons we developed the program, and some of the people we were involved in as we developed the program. So this is a cooperative program between engineering, Dubs, and also our Durham Energy Institute. And I want to talk briefly about that. And I think Krish will talk a little bit about living in Durham, some of the experience of that. And then I'll talk some more about the content and structure of the program, talk you through some of the talk modules and other details of the program as we go through. So we'll also have a little bit of a detailed look at a couple of the key modules, a couple of the modules that I think are of particular interest in the program, and then finally a bit about the strategic engineering and business project, which is kind of like the pinnacle of the program. Then finally, we have some information about scholarships, frequently asked questions that people ask. But if you'd like to answer more questions, we can take them all at the end in our Q&A session. So, some highlights about Durham University. One of the things about Durham is it's very historic. Okay, we have a World Heritage Site in my view at the moment. Actually, as I look past my screen, I can see a magnificent Norman Cathedral, which was founded nearly 1,000 years ago or so. So it's very historic. It's also a very safe environment. Okay, everyone can walk around Durham. There's really no bother at all. Crime is very low. The traffic is pretty safe as well. It's all a very safe, kind of quite leafy green environment in which to do your degree. We are also quite good at what we do. We are in the world top 100, which when it comes to Durham, Durham's quite a small place. That's a remarkable achievement. And we're also England's third oldest university. So founded in the 1830s or so, one of, after Oxford and Cambridge, one of the three seats of learning in the UK in England for a short period of time. And then other universities sort of expanded in the Victorian era, but we were very much the first of the second pack. We also have a triple accredited Durham University Business School, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means later, but it is a highly ranked business school. This is a partnership program, as I said before, between Engineering Business School and the Durham Energy Institute. And I'll talk about why that is a good thing. It's quite obvious why it's a good thing between engineering and business, because you get both subjects, but I'll talk about why the DEI is involved a little bit later. We're looking specifically with a global focus on this program. So we would like students from across the globe, because dealing with the transition to net zero is very much something we need to do as a planet rather than an individual country. We all share the same atmosphere, so it's slightly pointless to try and do one thing in isolation. It's also a degree program that is designed to equip people to go and do things. So we have a technical and applied focus in the degree. This is not an academic activity where we want people to do great scholarly work. We hope that you'll apply critical thinking and critical analysis, but it's very much with a technical focus on the end. We also have strong industrial links. We built the course with industrial focus in line, and as a result, we think it has excellent employability opportunities as you exit the program. So on the right, by the way, there's a couple of pictures of the two departments. The one on the top is engineering, and the one on the bottom is the business school. Okay, a few things about Durham University. I think I've given away the date already. It was founded in 1832. One of the things that I didn't say about was it's one of a small group of traditional collegiate universities in the UK. So we have academic departments and we have colleges. And we have a very good system in Durham where the academic departments are responsible for kind of the teaching and the scholarship, and the colleges are very much social communities where you'll meet like-minded people, and that's really where you get to meet friends and also take part in extracurricular activities within the college system. As I alluded to, we are part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That is the cathedral that I can also see from my office. There's also a castle there as well. There's a very interesting history between the two, which I don't have time to go through today. But if you come here, it's a fantastic place to walk around. We do well in various rankings. So in the world top 100 in the QS World University Rankings of 2023. The UK is in the top 5 in engineering from the Complete University Guide, and we are quite a diverse community. Okay, so Durham is, although it's a small city in the northeast of England, it's a very diverse environment because we have people from all over the world coming to study and learn in this community, as has been the case for a number of years, and it's a fantastic environment to come and experience. Okay, business school. Now I'm from engineering, so this is information that I can speak to, and I work very closely with business school colleagues developing this program. It's been a fantastic experience. But the business school does a number of things that of note. One of which is it's a triple accredited business school. So this means that you have various bodies that will audit effectively degree programs, and you have a choice of which one you can pick. And Durham University Business School has decided to pick the 3 main ones to audit itself and illustrate that the program it meets a very, very high standard. And there are very, very few places that do that. So this gives you an indication of the kind of elite status of the business school. And it has various rankings, 66 in European Business School there, 7th in the UK top 100, or 7th in the UK and top 100 in Financial Times Masters in Management rankings for 2022. So, I mean, I don't want to get too focused on league tables, but you should have some confidence that the departments you're joining do very well in these various league tables. DUBS is actually quite a big organization. It involves 4 different departments, of which 2 of which are contributing to this particular program. Okay, Department of Engineering, which I know a bit more about, is again doing pretty well in various league tables. So you can, if you want to come here, you can reassure yourself that it's a pretty good place by looking it up in various league tables. 5th in the Complete University Guide, and you can come up with estimates of how good our research is in various external validations of the engineering. I guess the point of showing the league tables is it's quite easy for me to come and say that we're a fantastic place, and I wouldn't I? But here's some external validation, some information produced by independent people that indicate the quality of the activity going on here at Durham. And one thing I just like to highlight, since I'm in engineering, engineering has been taught at Durham since 1838, and actually makes it one of the first, in fact, the first engineering course in England. So we're quite proud of that fact. Okay, so that's us in engineering, and then I also mentioned the Durham Energy Institute, and the Durham Energy Institute is something you probably won't have heard of, but it's a research organization that is designed to bring together academics and various other people, such as policymakers and industrialists, to try and address the climate problems that we're experiencing at the moment. And the idea is to look at it from a very holistic viewpoint, not just a narrow technical, not just a narrow technical focus, but also to look at it from points of social and policy as well, because they're equally as important. So just to take one example of that, at the moment, we all like low carbon energy, and nuclear power is arguably a low form of carbon energy, but some countries are closing down nuclear power stations that are perfectly serviceable because of social and policy decisions. So the two. Now, I'm not trying to take sides on that particular debate. I'm just illustrating that understanding the social and policy issues is often as important as understanding the technical ones. So, and the Durham Energy Institute has been very much involved in creating this program. We've had advice from them about what to include and what not to include, and they've been very supportive of putting this program together. Okay, university life. I think this may be where Krish maybe talks. Is that right, or am I talking through this?
I think, yeah, you're talking for the first bit, and then there's a slide for Krish.
Okay, there's a slide for Krish. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
so one thing to say, about coming to a particular university is it's much more than academic success, and it's much more about the knowledge that you find in the particular books or technical manuals that you can read and so on and so forth. So you do want to make your experience as wide as possible, and I say that as an academic who's very passionate about academic standards and things like that. So we have 17 distinctive college communities in the university, and you have various opportunities to take part in a wide variety of stuff, and I would strongly encourage you to do so whilst you're here, because that's where you get to meet friends that you will encounter as you go through your careers in different parts of the globe. You will doubtless meet them again as you go through. So you've got things like sport and just also a community in these colleges. And I think that's one of the unique features of Durham, and it's one that I strongly recommend that you take full advantage of. Okay, I think we've said there's 17 colleges. Usually they're mixed communities of undergraduate and postgraduate students. So this is a postgraduate course. Obviously, it's a one-year master's programs, and each college has deliberately students studying across all subjects. Okay, there's no ghetto for kind of engineering or physics or whatever. You have deliberately designed to ensure there's a mix of students, so you meet different people in these colleges, and this is designed to create a sense of belonging. We also have one college, Euston College, which I think is the one shown in the picture, which is dedicated to postgraduate students. So if you don't want to meet undergraduates, you should try and join that particular college. Okay, a few points about living in Durham. It's a safe and small city. Okay, so Durham is quite walkable. I live on one end of town, the university on the other, and I walk to work, to and from work most days. It's also very safe. You don't get any bother whilst you're wandering around the city. Crime is pretty low, and so on and so forth. It's a very safe and comfortable place to live. And we do have centuries of history and heritage here. So we have some wonderful buildings. We have a wonderful history of scholarship that actually predates the university, associated with the cathedral and various other activities there. We have this wonderful castle and cathedral here. And we are, if you like, big cities. We're pretty close to Newcastle, which is 10 minutes or so by train, which has much more of a pulsing nightlife than Durham does. So if you really like nightclubs, then probably Durham is not the place to come, but Newcastle is quite close by. And we're reasonably well connected to London. It's about 3 hours by train to London, so it's possible to go there and back in a day, which I occasionally do for meetings and various other things like that. And there are a bunch of other facilities and events in Durham as well. We have a botanic garden, a museum. The cathedral obviously is a big draw. There's a light festival here every couple of years, where when it gets dark, they put on lots of art installations and sometimes light up the cathedral. And there are various festivals throughout the year. For those of you who might like cricket, Durham County Cricket Club has an international ground not far from here on the River Wear, a little bit further north of here, where international matches are played. So you might have seen some of your cricketing heroes playing at the Durham Riverside, home of the Durham County Cricket Club. There, I used to be a member of the gym that was on site there, so you could watch the cricket whilst working out on the treadmill. I'm not entirely sure that's relevant to this, but I thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, student support. So obviously, we want you to do the best you can, and we're going to have success together when you feel well comfortable, and so on and so forth. And we have actually a good range of support available for students, ranging from getting you in immigration, which I appreciate can be a complex and difficult process, access to healthcare and GP services, advice on finance. We also have a wellbeing program and access to counselling and various other things as well. Depending on your faith, there's various faith bodies that you can also go and engage with as you go through. And I would say that on the rare occasions that I've met students having problems, things like the counselling and things like that, I've seen great results with the students who've engaged with those particular programs. The last point is EDI, which is a bit of an acronym, but that stands for, I think, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. The point of putting it about there is one of the things we're very keen in the university is to welcome people of ability, no matter where they come from or what background or orientation that they hold to. What we want to do is have a good community of scholarship, and that's very much a focus of the university from the top down. So that's what that EDI word means. That's on the bottom there. Okay, right. Hearing from a current Durham University student, Krish, I think this is over to you now. So I'll mute myself and let you chat.
Hi, Grant. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So, thanks for entering me. And the thing is, it's a very overwhelming decision to take a master's abroad from the country you have been living since your birth. But for me, this decision has been turned out pretty good till now because I love Durham as a city. It's so serene. It's so silent. It's very different from where I come. I come from a metropolitan city. I hail from Delhi. So it's quite the opposite. And that was actually what I wanted while I do my master's. I didn't want many distractions, but I didn't want my university life to be pale and silent completely. But Durham University offers a lot of events where you will be able to socialize, you will be able to meet so many people. Honestly, collegiate system helps a lot. I am in Collingwood, and which is arguably the best college in Durham University. I say so because uh, they offer so many events, and I sort of I consider myself an introvert, but the events and the people here around are so warm and so welcoming that you do make a group, you do meet a lot of people, and things go well. And second thing which everyone is concerned about are the studies. So as you know, there are three terms: first, second, and third. I'm dividing it because I want to tell you how pressure works in these. First term is considered most difficult because you have a lot of academic pressure. In the second term, it's lesser than that, and the third term is rather easier than the both of them. So in the first term, if you are expecting to do a part-time job, it's going to be a little difficult. I'll say expect. You should go about this with that. Socialize in the first term, see how you like the place, adhere to the place, explore, and in the second term, start some part-time job, do studies, everything. But my only advice will be like, first, adhere to the city, know what the environment is, familiar with the culture and everything. That will help you a lot in the long term. Other than that, if you expect nightlife and the clubbing, I wouldn't be biased. The clubbing isn't very good, but the bars are good. The bar crawls are really, really fun. I'm not gonna lie. Again, the collegiate system, I in my undergrad, we didn't had any collegiate system. I did my undergrad from Delhi. And when I came here, the reason I'm mentioning it so much is that when you are in a college, you're in a different place, you develop a cohesion for that place. You develop a cohesion for with that community from that college. Every college have different features. Like Collingwood is known for the fitness and basically sports. You will meet like-minded people. You will meet people you'll hang out most of your day with. So it's so much better than having a college system than not having a college system. The bars are really good. The bars are really good. Bar crawls have happen quite often, I'll say, quite often. So there are karaoke nights, there are Taylor Swift nights, there are so many events. I can't even name them around. So there wouldn't be time that you will get bored, or on educational purposes, there are also many events. In the teaching and learning center, you will have CV altering, you will have job seeking sessions, how you should go about it. There will be many companies coming now and then, and the thing matters is how active you are. If you are active enough, you'll have enough opportunities in every way possible. Either it's entertainment, leisure, or like academics and job seeking. You'll have everything. So it's a new. I think that is the answer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Krish. So I'll move the slide on. I think right, content and structure of the program is what we're going to talk about next. So having heard a bit about what it's like to be there, you can ask Krish questions and he'll answer them in the Q&A at the end, I believe. Okay, so what are we trying to do with this particular program? And one of the things we're trying to do basically is it can be summed up with the first bullet point. Basically, we're trying to position graduates to exploit the economic transformation as the world moves to zero carbon operation. And you might think, well, that's quite capitalist. You know, if you're kind of like very concerned about the environment, you want to do something to help the environment. I understand that, but I do think that if you actually want to have practical solutions to the climate crisis as we move towards zero carbon, then you're going to need to have solutions that people can buy. You know, so for example, at the moment, you know, if I want to move myself to zero carbon, I need to reduce the amount of carbon that's the amount of fuel that burns in my heating system at home. So I need to go and be able to purchase a system that operates with zero carbon. And when I do that, which I'm looking to do in the next couple of years, I will pay someone a lot of money and I will hand it over gleefully and thank them for taking my money to provide that solution. And that then will reduce the carbon emissions. So you have to have kind of like products that are zero carbon that people can buy. And really the course is all about creating graduates who can go and create those sort of zero carbon products and services that you can then go and use. And you'll have a good career doing it because there's a demand for that. People want that. And you know, you'll be well paid and well compensated for doing so. But equally so, you'll also be helping the environment move to a more net zero world. So we are explicitly quite a capitalist kind of program as well. The other point about that, to achieve that, is we're going to immerse students in both business management and the underpinning technologies of energy conversion. So the idea is that you will understand both how markets and businesses work, how you create new organizations or new ventures that deliver value, but also you'll have a good technical understanding of what net zero means and how to achieve net zero, and you know, really so that no one can mislead you with outrageous claims about how particular technologies work. And we also want you to develop an advanced and systematic understanding of management. And then for an MSc, you need to be able to critically review things. That's the key word about MScs. It's being critical and applying a discerning analysis of what goes on. So you need to be able to apply that business management and energy conversion knowledge to practical situations. And also you need to understand the current issues in energy management and understand about leading edge research and practice in the field. And both those last 2 points are common to MScs. You'll find lots of MScs talking about critical analysis and review and awareness. And it's really the topic that makes this program a little bit different. So in terms of the structure at a glance, basically you can divide the project into the program into three. We have core and elective modules, which are, I guess, conventional talk modules where you go to a series of events where people lecture or do seminars or workshops, things like that, and you you follow a syllabus of study, and then there's some form of assessment at the end, which may be a coursework assignment or it may be an assessment in an end-of-year exam. And you do that with both core and elective modules, and I'll talk about what's in the topics there. But that's kind of like one type of taught activity there is. And then you have activities where very much you're taking the lead. So these would be business and engineering systems, which is kind of like a design type activity where you come up with a solution of business and engineering design effectively that solves a zero carbon problem. And that's a group work activity. And that's where the kind of, you know, you'll get given some guidance on it, you know, on a sort of weekly basis, but you really then have to take the lead and go and do the work in a group to solve that particular problem. And then finally, we have our strategic engineering and business project, which is 60 credits. And this is the capstone activity, which I'll talk about a bit more detail later, but that's an individual project where you're providing an individual solution to a engineering and business problem that generates net zero. And that's where you work largely alone to produce this to demonstrate that critical review and analysis in that particular project. And then finally, we have something that is unusual. It's not quite unique in Durham, but it's very unusual that we have credit-bearing career and professional development module. So this is a module where, you know, in every program, people are encouraged to engage with kind of our career service and reflect on what they're going to do after the program and so on. So, and in this particular program, as we've designed it, we've put that in as credit bearing. So you'll be producing a portfolio as you go through that process, and that will help you with your next steps going forward. I'm quite excited about that module. We'll be working with our professional careers people to work on the content of that. They'll be helping us deliver it. Yeah, we're quite excited about the particular module because we'd like people to do that, but we don't normally give them credits for doing that, which is a bit different in this particular program. Okay, so in terms of module titles, the ones you have to do are the core modules. We've got 30 credits from Dubs and 30 credits from engineering here. Although we have new venture creation and energy, climate, economics, and finance. Those are the Dubs modules. They're 15 credits each, and then we have 3 10-credit modules from engineering. So the new venture creation, I'll talk a little bit more about later, but that's all about making new enterprises or making new things happen within larger enterprises. Energy, climate, economics, and finance is exactly what it says. It's about understanding the economics and finance of energy. How do you actually make something work? What are the particular issues associated with energy, finance, and economics? Then we have 3 technical topics. One of which is on renewable energy technologies, which is looking at sort of things that largely already exist in terms of, and they have a quite large market. So things like wind turbines and other things there. We have decarbonisation of heating and cooling. If you look at actual energy use, you'll find that most of it is used up in either transport or heating and cooling. So we have a module on heating and cooling, and then you have future vehicles, which is looking about how you might move around in a net zero world without creating harmful pollution. Then you have elective modules. These change depending on what's in the catalogue each year, but there's a few titles there that give you a feeling for the sort of things that will be available as we go through the program. Okay, and then a third way of looking at this is to just look at this in timetables. Krish talked about this being divided, Durham being divided into terms, and that's absolutely true. So we have a first term starts in October, and you also have an induction week in September. And my advice to you is to get here for the induction week because it contains important information. So whatever you do, get here, or if you possibly can, get here for induction week. It's not really a sort of optional little extra. That's a buffer zone for kind of you to have a bit of a grand tour of the UK. Okay, you want to be here in Durham because lots of things there, that will help you later on are introduced and made available there. We then have a core elective activity, which is where the talk programs happen, the lectures, the seminars, and all that sort of thing happen. And you have coursework and various assignments happening during that term. Bit of a break for Christmas. These modules carry on. Bit of a break for the spring. We have an Easter celebration here. There's time off in the UK associated with Easter time. And also it's a nice time to have a break because spring is in the air, the flowers are starting to bloom and things like that. It's quite a nice time. You then have a term which is conventionally devoted to exams, but you'll also be doing other things as well there. And then the project really kicks off in the summer. So that's kind of like what's going on in terms of the Durham term 1, term 2, and term 3. And as well as the sort of taught things, the way we've organised it is the business engineering system, which is the design type activity, takes place largely before Christmas and then gets handed in sometime in the second term, I think. And then we have the project starts to build up. So you're doing a bit of that as the design activity fades away, and then you kind of work on it full time towards the summer. And then careers and professional skills takes place throughout the program. So one thing I would say is it is a full year, okay? And I would strongly encourage you we would strongly suggest that you be in Durham for the full year. Obviously, you'll be able to take some holiday and take some time off during that, but you should plan to be in Durham for a full year. Don't just think you can disappear off in May to go and do other things. You'll have much more success if I think it's mandatory for you to be here during the summer. Okay, in terms of mode of delivery, it's taught by experts in their field. So all of my colleagues delivering the program have an impressive CV of things that they have published on or done. They're all very well qualified and deliver their activity. Quite a lot of them are involved in research in the field in which they're teaching, so they'll be able to tell you about the latest activities. So things that go on, we have lectures, which are I guess more common in engineering, where we go through quite, if you're dealing with a quite technical subject, that tends to be the best way of delivering it. If you're dealing with a less technical subject, sometimes you organise seminars, and you'll have design group activities in small groups. And we have a mixture of coursework and examinations for the assessment taking place. So we will have some in-person examinations on this program. Okay, we also do try and work quite closely with industry. So we're going to have a guest speaker program on the we'll have a guest speaker program through the year for this particular program. We'll also be organising the projects in association with businesses, so they have a real industrial feel. And we'll also be organising a site visit program to go and see some of the zero carbon activity that's taking place, largely in the northeast of England, because there's quite a lot of stuff that's going on here, particularly with offshore wind. That's quite interesting. But actually, over the in front of me, on the roof of the building opposite, they've just equipped us with a whole bunch of solar panels. So there's quite a few different varieties that you can see as you go around the northeast. Okay, talk a little bit more about some detail of a couple of the modules. I've just picked out kind of almost at random. New venture creation is one from Dubs. And this is really, it's taught by one of my colleagues, Joanna Berry, who's very much involved in setting the program up. But really, it's all about creating new activity, either within a large organization or a smaller organization. So basically, you have the process of opportunity examination, which is talked about in the first bullet point, and then understanding, what are the challenges and requirements necessary to make that sort of thing work. And then just to look a bit into some more detail there, to understand some differences amongst the different stakeholders you have in the organization. So you have business owners, managers, and other people, and you need to understand the roles that they play in new venture creation. And then the middle bullet point is about looking just beyond entrepreneurship in small businesses, but also how you look at it from the perspective of a much wider perspective. All right, and then there's some talk about how to manage customer and supplier relationships. So my colleague Joanna does a much better introduction of that module, but that gives you the idea of what we're trying to do. It's a very good example of the module, because what we'd like you to do at the end of the program is go out and do new things. Now, they might be within existing organizations, or maybe you'll be doing a small business yourself or something like that. So we're looking for people who have a bit of an entrepreneurial flair in their sort of DNA. Okay, renewable energy technology is just an example of a module in engineering. It has two major topics, one about wind turbines, one about thermal renewables. So we have things like wind turbine design and operation. So particularly in the UK, there's an example of one of the lecture notes I've picked up there on the top right, looking at the wake effects as you mount wind turbines close together. One of them interferes with the other, so you don't get twice as much energy if you put two wind turbines together. So understanding that is quite important there. So that's one of the things we look at in that module. And this is quite a good example because it's an established technology. If you want a wind turbine, you can go and buy one right now and get a warranty. It's quite straightforward in terms of a technical method of doing that. So that's an example of looking at some existing technology. And then we have kind of thermal renewables, which are of a much more wider variety of technology readiness. So solar thermal, people have built plants that do it, certainly, but it's not taken off quite as much as people thought about. It depends on the different pricing and things like that. So to understand that is quite important. Biomass, again, is an important topic, and waste heat recovery and things like that. So they're usually the side of things where you're trying to generate power from hot sources of renewable energy. That just gives you a flavour of one of the modules in a little bit more detail. I think this one is examined by examination at the end of the year. Okay, the key capstone module we have in the project is our strategic engineering and business project. So this has really two parts. There are research methods training, where you create a portfolio and do a literature review, and the second part where you produce a journal format report on the particular project that you are doing. And the way the project will work is you will be producing an individual response to what is largely a cohort scenario. So we'll be working with a business, hopefully, to give you an industrial flavor to this particular scenario. So we'll try and have a realistic problem that you'll be looking at, and we'll be bringing people in to talk about that particular problem. So we put quite a lot of time into the scenario, and then you produce an individual response to that particular scenario. Okay, I think now we've got Savi, who's going to talk a little bit more about the admissions process.
Hi, Grant. Thank you very much. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Savi Agarwal, and I'm the country advisor for Durham University in India. Grant, could I please request you to move on to the next slide? Thank you very much. So I'm just going to briefly cover the application process for the Energy Engineering System Management program. So for Indian applicants, we are looking for students who have a degree from an accredited NOSER listed university. So NOSER is a guide that has been produced by the Indian government, wherein they have listed all Indian universities into different sections based on their risk assessment, based on their faculty outcomes, their student career outcomes. So from section 1 universities, we're looking at a minimum 60%. From section 2, 65, and section 3, we're looking at 70%. We do not accept more than 8 to 10 backlogs overall throughout your degree. Since it's an amalgamation of engineering plus business, so we do accept students only from an engineering or relevant background to apply for this program. With respect to the English language requirements, we are happy to give out an English language waiver to students who have above 80% in their year 12th English, the condition being they should have graduated within the last 2 years of the course start date. In case they do not meet either of the requirements wherein they've graduated before last 2 years or they have a score less than 80%, in that case, they will have to give one of the English proficiency tests. The acceptable tests are IELTS, TOEFL, PT, and we also have our own Durham-specific password English test, but that test is only applicable, it's only accepted by Durham University. So talking about the other three tests, for IELTS, we're looking at an overall score of 7, with no band less than 6 and 8 submodule. For TOEFL, we're looking at the IBT scores of 1 or 2 overall, with no score less than 23 in each element. And for PT, again, we're looking at an overall score of 68, with at least 59 in each communicative skill. For the program, we have an application fee of £60, which is mandatory to be paid. We will only be able to assess your application once you've made the application fee payment. Thank you, Grant. Over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sammy, for that information. So a few things about to wrap up, really. So we have introduced a scholarship into this. Hang on, I've gone. Yes, we have introduced a scholarship, which is worth about £7,000 towards the tuition fee for September 2023 entry. And we have a round of scholarships remaining. You need to basically be holding an offer by the 3rd of July 2023. And basically, to be considered by the deadline, you basically need to submit your complete application, all supporting documents, 2 weeks before the no later than 2 weeks before the offer deadline. So the purpose of these scholarships really was to encourage diversity and inclusion within the cohort. So that's kind of what steers us as we allocate them. But there's no separate application process. All you need to do is put your application in to the system, and we'll be considering all the applicants on the program. So as we start the program, as we build it up, certainly the way we'll be doing things. As we get more applicants, of course, we might have to be more selective as we go on. Okay, there are also other scholarships and sources of funding. There's a tuition fee discount if you're fortunate enough to be a Durham University alumni, and there's a link there to other scholarships and other sources of funding on the website there, which you can check out in due course. Okay, a few frequently asked questions. People often ask about reading lists and resources they need to access for starting the program, and you don't really need to do any reading before the start of this program. Okay, it's quite a self-contained activity. I think if you're particularly keen, you want to keep yourself up to speed with what's going on in the zero carbon energy world, but just some general reading of current affairs and listening to appropriate programs and things like that in that area will do. You don't need to do any special study beforehand. We're only going to admit people that are competent to take on the program from day one. Okay, in terms of contact hours per week, I think the answer is it varies quite a lot depending on the weeks of the program. Certainly as you start the program, you might expect so for each 10 credit activity in engineering, that would be typically 1 lecture a week or so. And then there would also be a problem sheet or other activity for you to complete during that week. And so if you have sort of 6 of those or so, that gives you an idea that you might have kind of 6 to 8 contact hours per week in the first term or so. But then as you get to the project, you'll really be working as an independent learner largely on your own, and you might have very little contact in a given day or a given week at that point, because you're working on your own towards your particular project. So that gives you a flavour of what goes on, and it depends a bit on how many free electives you've taken as well. Sorry, not how many free electives, which free electives you've taken. So independent work is there. There is a substantial amount of independent work in this program. You are guided, especially in the core modules, and well, you're guided throughout the program, but you are expected to become an independent learner there, especially at MSc level. If you're an employer and you employ a Durham University graduate with a master's qualification, you don't expect to have to supervise them carefully in order to get the job done. You want someone who can get on and do things without someone needing detailed day-to-day supervision. There are good opportunities for group work in the program. So we have group work designed into the program in our business and engineering systems module, which provides a good opportunity to do that. And we pride ourselves on being able to deliver a good group project there. Students quite often find that a bit challenging because your success depends on other people, but actually that's something that is really useful when you go out into the employment marketplace, because you can demonstrate that you work with people to achieve a particular result. So in terms of employment opportunities, this is obviously the first year that we've run this program, so we don't have a track record to point to, but we've designed the program from the ground up to produce people who are employable, and we would expect people to go and join firms working towards a net zero activity. And so there's lots of people wanting talent in that area at this point in time. Okay, I think we're now onto the Q&A session, so I can take Q&A. Also, if you'd like to contact me and ask about the program, you can email me. My email is there. Feel free to email me directly. I will try and get back to me, or there'll be other contacts you can email as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you for taking out time and giving us this insightful presentation. Now time for Q&A session. I will call out the questions from YouTube chat box. The first question is, can we get job easily after completing masters in energy engineering?
So I think it's obviously it's the first year this course has run, so I can't point to a stream of graduates that we have there. But certainly our other MSc programs have very good employability, and there is certainly demand for employers we're constantly being asked to recruit. People are constantly giving presentations in the department. They're looking for people who have a good technical understanding and also understand business as well. I can't offer, and certainly if you look at programs in Durham University, generally they have very good employability. This is the first year this program has run, but we've got no reason to think that it would not be equally as successful as other programs. I don't know if that answers the question, Yuki.
Okay. So who are the top 3 employers after completing masters in energy engineering?
So in terms of energy engineering, as I say, we don't have a track record to point to, so I don't have a top 3 list at this stage that I could point to. We could. I'd have to get back to you about who employs our graduates on other programs there, but certainly I can probably gather some employability information, but I would need to come back with that. So if someone's particularly interested in that, if they drop me an email, I will get back to them with some more detailed information.
Okay. Do you have student accommodation? If so, how does it work?
So you'll certainly need some accommodation in Durham, because you'll need somewhere to live. The details of how that actually works I'm not so familiar with. Maybe Krish could speak to that. How did you find somewhere to live then, Krish?
It's pretty straightforward process. Basically, we have the college system. You will get an accommodation in either one of the 17 colleges, which will be allocated to you. The colleges are catered or self-catered, and you can give your preference according to that. Like if you feel that you wouldn't have much time after your studies, you should go for catering. Or if you feel you do not have much experience in cooking, you can go for catering. These are the things, and there are other options like ensuite, shared bathrooms, standard rooms, and studios. So these are the 3 options which vary. So suit yourself whatever suits you the best, and it's better to know what college offers catering, non-catering, en-suites, because every college has different rooms. So choose colleges wisely in that terms as well.
Thanks very much, Krish.
Okay, next question is, as I have a year gap after my graduation, can I apply for the master's?
So if you've graduated already, then you are more than welcome to apply for the masters. I mean, Savi can probably speak to more to the admissions there, but you don't have to have. I think the only recency requirement is about English language. Certainly from a technical point of view, that we're more than happy to take people who have had some experience in the workplace. In fact, they add quite a lot if you've been doing a job, and you do your first degree, you do a bit of a job, you decide, okay, I want to change and change direction. Then actually doing a master's program is actually quite a good way of doing it. So we'd be more than welcome people who've had some experience between their undergraduate degree and the postgraduate degree they do. So people would be more than welcome if they already have their degree.
Okay. Is it still possible to apply for a scholarship for September start?
So, sorry, Savi, do you want to add something there?
Yes, Grant, I just wanted to add, so thank you for covering that up. So that's absolutely right. As long as the students are able to establish the reason behind the one-year gap, it could be work experience, it could be internships, it could be online certification programs, or it could be that they wanted to take a year gap just to understand and evaluate their options, as well as they're able to explain it well in the statement of purpose and are able to still link it back to their reason for study. We'll be happy to look at these applications.
Fantastic. Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
Yeah, sure, no issues. Is it still possible to apply for a scholarship for September start?
Certainly, yes, it is. So certainly with our scholarships of £7,125 or so, the closing date for those is the 23rd of July. So I think you have enough time to apply, given that we're still only in April, to get an offer and make sure you're holding that offer in terms of that. And all you need to do to be considered for those scholarships is to apply to the program. It's a pretty simple process.
Okay. What is the average age of students attending this course?
So, as I say, it's the first year we've run it, so we don't have an average age. But certainly, if we look at our other MSc programs and elsewhere in the department, I would say that most people are doing it fairly soon after graduation. So you would expect them to be in their mid-20s or so. I think would be the average age. We have a few more mature students and who are very welcome, but I think they represent the minority of students on the programs. So certainly when I look at the cohort, they all seem very young to me. But yeah, I would say that the average age was, was probably not far off 23. I'm sort of making that up, but that gives you a flavour for what I think the average ages are of the cohort that we have our current MSc cohort.
What are the visa and application deadlines?
So visa and application deadlines, I'd have to hand you to Savi because I know very little about visas and applications.
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, sure. What are the visa and application deadlines?
Okay, so currently the applications are open. However, our current turnaround times are at least 6 to 8 working weeks. So we would recommend as soon as the students can put in an application, it would be much better because it would help with them, give them enough time in order to process their CAS letters and for the visa processing. And I was actually in a meeting with the UKVI on Saturday. And as per the feedback given by them, the current visa turnaround time that they're looking at 15 working days at the start of the application cycle, which would be in August. So again, timely application, get your CAS in time and put your visa application in time. That's what we would recommend.
Okay. So I have covered all the questions from YouTube chat box. Thank you for answering all the questions so well. Do you want to share any final words?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for spending their time considering our program. I hope it's been of interest to you. If you have further questions, we are more than willing to answer them. Please drop me an email. I'm always happy to chat about this program. Yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. All the audience, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact SI UK India office. For more update, do follow us on our social media handles. Bye-bye.
Yukti.